Hi, I'm Jackson Rioux.
And I'm Vinnie Rosa. We are the hosts of the Weekly Show podcast. Today we're going to talk about kind of just who we are and what the show's about, and many more things to come in the future, but just for now, that's where we're starting.
We hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
It's a big day for Jackson. We got 21st birthday. Everyone, round of applause. Woo! So we want to tell everyone out there, this is our first podcast. We're all new to this. We're doing an independent seminar class for the Weekly Show. And we kind of wanted to make this a thing that coexists with it. So, Jackson, one of our hosts, Jackson Rioux, we want to just tell them about yourself, what you want to do, and what your job is with the show, and just what you're doing.
All right, yeah. So first off, I'm taking some time out of my 21st birthday to do this. Don't doubt my dedication to this podcast. So basically, the point of this is, we want to kind of shed light into our study and what we're doing because it hasn't been done at Central Connecticut State University in a really long time. I really don't even know the last time it was done. It might not have ever been done, from where it's just 11 students running their own variety show. And it's really interesting. I think we should probably give a shout out to everyone who's in the show right now, just so then they will be guests on our podcasts, but we'll get more into that later. So we have myself, I'm Jackson Rioux. Vinny operates as...
I'm a camera guy. I'm also one of the producers on the show. And then we have a bunch of other people. There's about, besides me and Jackson, we have about, I would say, another 8 people in our group?
Yeah, 11 total. We have Corey O'Neill. He runs the teleprompter, helps write the skits. We have our wonderful host, Dustin Wong. That's not his real last name, but that's how he'd like to be called. We have our director, Andrew Carducci, who's currently has a job at ESPN as well, so he has some good experience. We have Spencer Rioux. I hope I said the right Spencer. I'm sorry if I didn't. He's actually doing a documentary on our variety show, but he helps out with the writing and stuff too. He's a very creative person.
We also have Corey O'Neill. Corey's one of the writers as well, and he's also works a teleprompter. I believe he's also one of the executive producers or producers. I'm not exactly sure, but he's one of them.
Yes, he's so important. He got shot out twice. Max
Arzu, one of our sound guy, very talented, very helpful, and he's also, I think that's all he is, but that takes a lot of time to hook up sound. You wouldn't think it does, but it does.
And we also can't forget the girls. We have Haley Paternoster and Allison Boyard.
Sorry, Allison.
I'm butchering the last names today.
Allison's our floor manager, and she also created our background set that you'll see.
Great. It's a great background. And Haley runs the K2 server and operates as one of our correspondents with skits and stuff. This week we have an Oscars one that they're literally working on a few feet down the hallway from us. And who else are we missing here in our wonderful crew?
I think Derek Baez. We have Derek Baez. He's one of the camera guys, and he's also one of the the talents. He's doing a sports page on it too. We have Mike Held.
How could we forget Mike?
Mikey Mike. Mike is a backup camera, and he's also one of the writers, and also one of the another correspondent on the show if they need another talent.
I believe that is all 11 of us. So, and we're all very passionate about communication and studio production and stuff. If we weren't passionate, we wouldn't be able to be operating with this show and whatnot. So we are taking this very seriously, as our first show is literally being edited right now.
We also are new to the podcast. See, me and Jackson spoke to me, and we kind of were like, we wanted to do something else to help promote this. And Jackson's like, Vinny, let's do a podcast. I said I didn't even have to really think about it. I thought I never did one, but I wanted to do one, and I figured it'd be a good way to promote the show. We are here now, week 8, into our show, and hopefully having our first show put out this Thursday, which is also when we'll hopefully have this out as well. We want people to be as well informed about what we're doing and who we are, so that people get to know who we are and what we're doing. We're all trying to get jobs. Me and Jackson work for CCSU TV down in the Media Center, which has also been a huge, great experience. Jackson, tell them a little bit about what we were doing down there.
Yeah, the working at the TV station is great, even though I'm fairly new. I mean, I've already learned a lot when it comes to, we get 4 hours of editing a week, which is nice. You learn, even though it's an older software, it's considered more of a professional software using Final Cut Pro 7 and whatnot, and learning how to master tapes, burn them to DVDs and stuff. So we edit shows, concerts, what else? Musicals, basically anything that happens on campus where they want cameras there, we'll help and we'll film it, whether it's a live shoot or a shoot in the studio. So I look at it as a very hands-on opportunity to learn more, which is another reason why I like this show a lot, because yes, we have an instructor, thank you, Yanti Friesum, he helped put this together and stuff, but essentially it's us now after the 8 weeks where it's just 11 students running a show, and we're trying to keep it as professional as possible with how it is and from what we know of in the real world.
We're also learning. I mean, a lot of us haven't done internships. A lot of us, everyone's in a different state, and I think that's the cool thing about this show is because, besides me and Jackson, the only ones that are working in a studio currently, but everyone else is doing their own thing, whether it's been internships, independent films. I mean, we have such a unique group of people that everyone has a different background, and I think that's what makes you a strong group in production is because you need to have different backgrounds. And as me and you have both seen, is that we struggled for the first 6 weeks. We didn't know what we wanted to do, and it was irritating at first, but
absolutely
I think we're on week 9 going on, and we're probably gonna have the first show finally. I mean, it took some time, but we all put our heads together and worked it out. As Jackson would say, or probably agree with, is that it's a process, and productions, you have to be patient, but you have to know what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're all communication majors, some are even journalism minors and stuff. So yes, we've all had experience in the studio, but having experience in the studio and then going and running your own show is a huge step. And I think we have seen growth, even though the first few weeks maybe not. The last few weeks, I've definitely seen growth. I just saw Dustin and Andrew were editing, and from what I saw, they were editing it. The show looks great. I think maybe it won't be professional like as you look at NBC or ABC or Saturday Night Live quality, but for a student-run show, it's going to look very professional in that respect.
And it also being a student-run show, it gives us, this is probably a lot of our first time being a studio crew. Like I said, besides me and Jackson that have been in the studio, I know there's been quite a others, but we work in the studio at Central already, and we get a little bit of gist of what's going on, so it's a little bit easier for us to kind of help out others that maybe don't know all the equipment down there. We're still learning a lot. I mean, I'm sure that I need to know a bunch more. Jackson's new to this. I've been at the CCSU for this is I think my second semester, so a full year. But it's a great learning experience, and I think it's helped me, and Jackson will say probably for himself, helped him with this show because everyone's different, and you need to put your minds together, you need to work together, and I think that's the whole goal of this show. We want to promote it, we want to promote ourselves, we want people to know who we are, so that when we go for jobs, people can say, oh, we were part of that, or they can recognize us from something.
Yeah, it comes at a very important time in our lives. A lot of us are a semester away, 2 semesters, maybe like 3, 4 at the most semesters away from graduating. So right now is the time in our lives where we really need to step it up if we want to get a job, and especially in the production world, where you have, in Connecticut, we have so many large production companies near us, and TV studios and whatnot. We have ESPN's right in Bristol, NBC Sports in Stamford. We're only like an hour and a half away from New York, where you have CBS, NBC, what else? There's just studios everywhere, and they're not going to be taking people who haven't previously had experience or whatnot. They want to see people, where we could go into an interview and say, here, look at this show. We helped either write it, produce it, script it, edit it. They want to see that you have that independence, and that when they take you into their studio, you can name, oh, here's how you operate this teleprompter. Here's how you operate the camera. How do I change the white balance, whatnot. Anything with that. And I think personally, as a technical director, I've definitely learned a lot just from operating the switcher. I think it's been a huge advantage to me that I've had the opportunity to do this at Central Connecticut State University.
It's also a very important job what you're doing too. So I think with the great thing about what we're doing is that it's not paid, and I think that you don't hear about. I mean, you hear about independent projects, you hear about them all the time, but I feel like when we have a group of 11. And just like kind of what we're doing, you don't hear about this much. Like, all right, you're doing a show. Maybe some people will take it as a joke, but we're actually taking it very serious. We want it on our resume because with production, it's not necessarily about being paid or per se an internship. It's about what are you doing? Are you working on your craft? Are you working on editing? Are you, what are you doing? And for me, it's like, I think the beauty of it is that we came up with the podcast idea to promote the show, which kind of to me shows that we're dedicated to the show because we're doing things to promote the show itself. We made a Twitter page. We're online. This is gonna go on YouTube. The podcast is gonna promote the show. That's gonna go on YouTube. We really want to get this out there for hopefully next semester make another season of this. And right now we're on the right track, and we want to continue to keep doing this. And we really want you guys at home watching to really enjoy what we have to do and even give feedback. Because like I said, this is a very much work in progress. This podcast is a work in progress. This is all new to all of us.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the podcast goes even though Vinnie and myself are hosting, it goes way beyond the two of us. We want to bring on a student worker who's in the TV show with us each week, learn a little bit more about themselves, and not even just what they're doing on the show or how they contribute to the show. We want to look at how they're operating, how they're looking at this as operating towards their ultimate goal, like where do they want to go in the field of communication stuff. So with that, I asked Vinnie, what do you want to do after this? When you graduate, what's your dream job?
So like my dream job is pretty much, I'm not going to be too picky. I know there's a lot of people that are picky what they want to do. I would love to work at ESPN or MLB Network. I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do exactly, but I'm open to working in anything. And, I would love to be a director or tech director or something that's got kind of a huge title. And I'm working at it. And I've gotten some good practice with CCSU TV. I'm sure you're going to get the same once you start directing, like once you get your first chance to direct. And that's what we want to do for the people at home to understand. We're going to bring people in each week, hopefully, and talk about what they're doing. We want you people to understand these people have lives, and it's what they're doing to progress in production. So I can even ask the same question to Jackson. So Jackson, what is this? Do you have any specifics? What's your dream job?
Yeah, my dream job, definitely, I'd love to be like the senior executive producer for a show like the Today Show or Good Morning America, something like that. I've always been interested in producing because I see producers as somebody who has their hand on a little bit of everything. You help in the technical aspects, you help write, you help book guests and stuff. I just always like that. I think this show has even, like the opening stages of this show has even shown me how much more I really want to be a producer, because the way you look at it, we have 11 people in that studio at a given time. If one person screws up, then the whole show screws up. So it shows that it's not one person is more important than the other. It doesn't matter if you're the director or you're the cameraman. It shows that if you don't have something right, or if you say the wrong command, or your camera angles off a little bit, it's going to make the whole show look bad. And I just like that. I think that aspect has brought us all probably closer together. At times we've definitely been angry at each other, but I expect that. It's kind of like growing up with your family. It's not always going to be rosy and stuff, but this has definitely made me appreciate how good, like, we just did our first show, and it made me appreciate how much effort went into that one show, and how much more excited I am to keep doing these shows with everyone.
If we take it a little step different, in a different direction, kind of, is that I guess people would want to know, how did we get here? And besides the love of doing it, I'm just talking about the podcast in general. So I stated before, me and Jackson both talked about it, and it's funny because me and Jackson have taken classes before together, and we never really talked to each other until about this last semester. I had another class with Jackson, never spoke a word to him. We didn't even know each other exist. And then last semester, we really started working in production, and we started to realize, you kind of pick out people that are serious about it. You want to work with those people because you want to share the same.
I think it actually came on that trip to the Meredith Vieira show where we went to New York at NBC Studios in 30 Rock.
Exactly, and that was a great time because I got to see a live set. And that's when I think the whole thing started coming around, and then we started getting to know each other, and now we're pretty good friends, and we're on the same page. And it's neat because of how things evolve, and especially in production, as you will know, it's teamwork. You can't be selfish. You got to take care of yourself first, but you need to know how to work in a group. And I think that's why this podcast works really well with the show, is because me and you know how to work together well. We started to realize what we like in production, what we don't, what our strengths are and everything. And it's easy to help each other. And I think that's where we're going with this show, is that, the first 6 weeks, people didn't really know each other. And I don't think people knew each other's strengths, and everyone was getting new to the studio. But as you can attest, and I'll let you elaborate, is that I think now people are getting used to each other, what people like. So give us a little more about, how teamwork is such a huge effort into making a TV show.
Yeah, I think it all came down to communication. I mean, I think all of us underestimated the enormous task that it takes to make a show, even though it's a half-hour variety show a week. We didn't really have a lot of communication or anything, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, you guys do that, I'll just wait, and I'll show up on the studio, and we'll bang out this show. And that's not how it worked, and we're learning that more and more. We have a very organized script now. It's pretty close to professional quality, where we have cameras laid out, what camera we want Dustin to look in, or what camera we want Andrew to cut to at that time, where he gives me the command. And I think it's made the process a lot easier, and it just shows you how important the pre-production prospect goes in, where everybody matters. You can't just mail it in one week and expect the whole show to go smooth. Like I said before, everyone's equally important in this thing. It's not one person's show. It's not just because you're the director, it's your show, or because the host, it's your show. Everyone has a hand in the show, and I think when you see the content in our show and the way it moves, you can really put in and see how each of us have our own stamp on the show.
We also really want, we know it's not going to be perfect because we are students and we're learning in the process. We're hoping it's going to be better than what we've done in previous classes, and that's the main thing. And I think that the people at home, we want to kind of critique what we're doing. We want to get your impact. We want to get your personal opinions and see what we could do better. Because this is really something for us to build off of. This is not something we're going to come out and say, oh, we made a great show like every week, because it's taken us a long time to get to one show, but our one show is going to be a good show, hopefully. And from what we've just looked at from the editing guys, it's coming out pretty well. And actually, from week 1 to now, we didn't even think we were going to get a show. It was looking like for a while we weren't even going to have anything. To be honest, we weren't even sure we were going to have a podcast.
Yeah.
So, now everything's coming together. So we just wanted to give you guys a little taste of what's to come from our weekly show and our weekly podcast, hopefully. Like I said, my name is Vinnie and Rosa. This is Jackson Rioux. And hopefully you guys will want to keep listening and seeing what we have to do.
Yes, and definitely next week you should look forward to, we'll have our first guest from the show on. We're going to keep that a secret right now. It's not because we don't know who it is, but we think you should definitely tune in and listen to that and learn a little bit more about the profile of another student worker at Central Connecticut State University. And we'll also talk about this show that's currently being edited right now. We'll talk about what went into it and how it came out, and we'll also look ahead to next week's show. So thanks for listening. I'm Jackson Rioux.
Vinnie and Rosa, take care.